Hi everyone, I'm Jack. I'm here with you for an hour. We're going to do a craft along. I've got a list of things. This is the card that we're going to be making. So, little witchy scene there, but inside, a little surprise and a little pop-up. So if I turn it to the side, you can see we've got all that pop-up. So you can make that as deep or as narrow as you want. A little path there, using a few images. They're optional. If you haven't got them, don't worry about it. If you've got the dies, you'll be able to work them. So here's a list of everything that you need. So Halloween, create a card, haunted house. You can use either or both, so don't worry if you've only got one of them. Halloween, create a card, the spooky graveyard, trick or treat die cut topper pad, that again is optional, cool tones ombre glitter card, black and gold cardstock, a couple of sheets of each would be enough on that, red liner tape, that's going to be your friend during this project, scissors, a paper trimmer or guillotine, scoring board, that again is going to be your friend, Dotty Tape Pen, just for your die cuts, which is good, 6x6 card blank, and I think that's about it. There might be a few other things, you know, your pokey tool and things like that, but you'll have them in your stash. So I'm going to start by probably showing you the mechanism to the card, because I think once you've got that, you've got everything. So I've got 3 pieces of card, and I've scored them at various score sizes. So one is 3 inches by 5.5 inches. That's because the die measures 5.5 inches. Your card is a 6x6 card, so as long as it's within those, that'll work. So then we've got the next one, which is 2.5 inches, again by 5.5. And your next one is 3.5 by 5.5. So basically we're going to score those. If I bring a trusted scoreboard in and drop everything else on the floor while I'm doing that. I'll just kick that to one side. So your first one, you're going to score at every 1/2 inch, which would make a 1/2 inch box. So every 1/2 inch you're going to score. I've pre-scored these just so that it would remind us where it's going to be, but you can watch this back at any time and it'll remind you what we're doing. Your next one, so that's your next size up to that, you're going to do at, let me turn it round, 1/2 inch, then 3/4 inch, then 1/2 inch, then 3/4 inch, and that'll leave you the 1/2 inch for when we fold it all up. Your largest piece, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, then 1 inch, so you can see they're going up in size all the way, then 1/2 inch again, then another 1 inch, and you've got your 1/2 inch at the side, which is going to glue down. So from there I would use red liner tape. You can use wet glue if you want. Because I'm actually going to use the all-purpose, I think, because I dare. Up to you what you use. Your glue, it's what you prefer. So we're going to fold them over on every one of those score lines. So these are going to create little tube boxes, if you like. And what that does is that will be the mechanism for the pop-up. So each one scored over, and again. And you'll see when I put them all together that one is just slightly, so basically 1/2 inch between them, bigger than the other. Okay, so I find when I'm using stuff like this, oh, guess what, my glue's not working. but we'll not worry about it. We'll just find another glue and we'll get it working. There we go. So any glue, doesn't matter whether it be red liner, whether it be, that's it, that'll do, tacky glue. So because this has got time to dry, we don't need it till the end. I find the easiest way to make sure it's square is just to fold it over and it will stick on itself. And then give it a rub, like so, and put it both ways. And let that have time to dry. And pop that to one side. Same with the next one. All the way. Because you're not using them immediately, you've got time for these to dry and you can just pop them to one side. These bits aren't seen, it's just a mechanism that goes to the back. And then the smallest one, like so. But bearing in mind the mechanism is going to be used a lot, so if you prefer to use your red liner, please use your red liner. So pressing that down, giving it time to dry, and pressing it, you'll have noticed I've opened it up and centered both ways because I need that mechanism to work. So basically that's what we're doing. Can you see? We've got a tube, and each one of them is going to be slightly bigger than the next. So if I set all of them up, like so. So each one is bigger than the next, just little steps down. So that's your mechanism, because they will fold flat and they will stand up as the card opens and closes. So we'll pop that to one side. I'll pop them this side, I think. And then we'll bring in our dies. So I'm going to start with our graveyard one, because this one's a fabulous one for cutting up. And you've got, if you didn't want an outer edge to it, so you could cut this at 5.5 if you wanted to. Mine, I'm going to show you because I've already cut mine to 6, but this outer edge will cut it out. But I know that that is a 5.5 in measurement. Now, if you're putting it through like this, please, please, please tape it down, because the last thing you want is your dies to cross over each other. Because if they do cross over each other, you'll ruin the die. So pop that in. Now I'm going to be a bit naughty because I wanted a backdrop with this, and I had some white paper or grey paper, whatever you've got, it'll work. And actually I'll do it on the next one, I'll not do it on this one. So I've just cut one out and it's just paper. It's just so I can have a drop shadow, but you don't have to use that. You could actually use a white pen or anything like that. So I'm going to run that through our Gemini. And as I said, make sure that you've got it taped down, it's not moving anywhere. She says as she puts it on the wrong one. Put on the right one, there we go. So tape it down, keep it secure, and run that through your machine. Now you need lots of them. You need at least 3 or 4 of them, depending on whether or not you're going to do 3 full layers with it, or you're going to do 2 layers with it, because we're going to cut into this. We're going to keep one hole and we're going to cut into the rest. So pop that through. and that's cut out beautifully. So we don't need that piece. I'm going to bang this on the table just to get rid of any pieces. Take that away. And then we'll take this gorgeous die out. It's a proper spooky one, this one. So take it out, and as you can see, it cuts out absolutely beautiful. Now you are going to need 2 or 3 of them. So I've gone ahead and I've cut the other 2. So we've got them there. Now you then want some of your ombre card, because I think the ombre, the cool tones, is absolutely gorgeous. So I've cut this one to 5.5 so that it's going to fit exactly on the die. And it just makes it look quite moody, doesn't it? So that's one for you there. So your Dotty tape runner, we'll stick that down. Now before I do that, I've already got one cut in the paper, and I'll do that drop shadow. If you didn't want to cut it as many times as what I've done, you could always go around the edges with a pen, with a white pen, or a little bit of inking, doing it, blending. You could do that as well. I'm going to bring that one in, and I'm just going to line it up and just give it a small drop shadow. Now the piece that's left, trim that away. You don't need it, and you don't want it to be seen. So whether you use scissors or whether you use a trimmer, it's totally up to you. There we go. And then we'll mount that onto the next one. And it's already looking quite spooky, isn't it? Just because I can, I'm adding a little bit of glue, just to make sure, because it's a glitter card, I don't want it not to stick. I need that to stick. And then we'll place that on there. It's quite atmospheric, is that the word? Totally brings it to life, that glitter card. So then I've got the 6x6 card, and I've got a matte inlay for that piece as well. So I've cut the matte inlay basically 1/4 inch smaller than the 6x6, so 5 3/4. And I'm just going to tape that down. So that needs to go on the inside and on this piece here, because it's the piece that's actually the L. It's the piece that's stood up. So inside of your card. And you know what? I'm going to take this one right to the top, because I want it to be a little bit higher than what we've got. So normally you would centre everything, but because I'm putting boxes in here and I'm going to offset them, if we can put this one higher up, that will work. So we'll put this one higher up, and I'm going to take that one right to the edge as well. Now I am going to use some red liner on this, purely because I want to make sure that it's stuck solid. So I just need it at the base. And the rest will be fine. So because this is where the mechanism is going to stick, you need it pretty solid. And then we'll take that off. and offer that to the top, like so, and we are going to stick that down. Right, this is where it gets fun with your boxes. So let's pop that to one side and bring in our boxes. So the first one that we're going to put on, I'm going to check first of all that it's working both ways, because I basically need it to fold either way like that. All right, so we're going to put our red liner tape on there, because once this has got a hold, it's not coming off, and it'll keep your mechanism nice and strong. And again, along that bottom edge. So that's one small side and one long side, one narrow. Does that make sense if I hold it up that way? So I've basically put it along this edge and along this edge, leaving the top and the side free. Burnish that down, make sure it's nice and solid, and I'm going to take that away. Like so. Right, I'm going to open it up, back up, because where I need it to sit is in here. We may need a front view for this one. So I need it to sit here, across here and here. So the sticky part of the box needs to stick on the base, and the long side needs to stick on the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer it up to that base, and just make sure that it's butted up to the side, and then offer that box up. So we've basically got a box there. Let's see if I can, there we go. We've got a box that will still close. Yeah? And we'll open back up. And then we're going to go to our gorgeous thing, and we're going to cut it slightly. So you need to decide where you want to cut it. On mine, on the one I made, I left, so it's this edge here, I left a little bit more of that tree on, so I only cut a small amount away from the first one. We'll do the same with this. So I'm going to come around as if the tree's there, like so. So I've cut that one away, and then I'm going to cut into that one. I'm going to cut into the cobweb, but I still want that branch, and I still want a little bit of a branch there. So that's what I've cut away. So on the back of that, let's put some gold glitter card on. Gold mirror card, just so it accentuates that piece. Because no one's going to see the back of it, but you're going to see the front. And then if you've got a white marker, you can do this. If not, don't worry about it. I'm sure we can sort some inking up, or anything that you've got. You could do another layer if you wanted to. I was hoping that was going to be nice, and there it is. Right, so I would just highlight a few places. So basically come down, highlight a few. It doesn't have to be really deep. It just has to, I'm going to go, I think we might even have a white sponge. Let's try one of those. That one is a lilac one, but it's fairly white, so it should, yeah, that's it. So just touching some of the edges just to give it that spookiness just around it. So it's not a lot. Obviously I want the cobweb would be a bit more. So just a bit of a, and that's going to give us enough to pop that in place. Now, this is where you've got to get clever, because you've got to decide whereabouts you want this to stick, because you don't want it to overhang the end when you close it up. So if I was to put it right at the top, like so, by the time we close, that would overhang. So I don't want that. I want it to come a little bit further down, which will give us the difference. When you're looking through, you'll be able to see all the different layers. So some of your tape pen. Again, if you want to use red liner, use red liner. You only need it along that bottom edge, and that will put it in place. So a little bit further down, like so. To get that to stick perfectly, I would close it, just give it a rub on the back. And then when you open that, you see you've got that mechanism, which is opening and closing it. Right, the next piece, we need to cut shorter. So we took the last one right the way to the top of this tree. We'll not with this one, we'll take it a little bit lower down to the twig, like so. And I think we'll cut it away at this branch here. So again, leaving the branch on, but it's not as high. So where we've cut a fair bit, a little piece off the last one, you see there's less of that one. So we've stopped here rather than here. Pop that to one side and let's give that another bit of a haze around that spooky graveyard. Like so. And then we need the next size down. So the next size down one was the one where we scored 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. And again, your red line is going to be your friend. So again, on two sides, on one of the 1/2 inches and on the adjacent 3/4 inch. And place that down. I think once the red liner grabs, it really grabs. So pop that down and take the tape off, and we're going to do exactly the same again. We're going to offer it up to the piece. So pushing that forward, small goes on the bottom and the long side butts up against the next one. So I'm going to just tip that over so you can see where I'm going with it. Offer it up again because you want it to be right alongside it, like so. And then we're going to stick that to the back like that, and again making sure that it's stuck. Close your card up and give it a rub. And that just ensures that everything will pop up and down when you open and close the card. So that last piece, we're going to put that gold across there again. This is where you get to use all your scraps up. And if you're anything like me, you'll have loads of scraps. There we go. And I'm rubbing that away because it had just gone over the side and I don't want that to stick to the other card. And again, I can put this one a little bit further down. So I can literally butt that up against the card. Like so. So we've got that gorgeous mechanism going on with the steps. And if I put something behind, you can see where those steps are. Yeah, there we go. So the next one is our little one that we did. So you red liner tape again on both adjacent sides. So this is where your spooky pad comes in handy, and it's totally optional. You could cut another one and just chop a little bit more off it. Totally up to you, but I thought it would be nice to put some little Halloween pumpkins and things like that at the front of it. I'll take that off. Just wondering how many of you at home does the same as what I do. I tend to work in a 12-inch square. My square gets smaller and smaller with my scraps. I'm sure we're all the same. I think Debbie Fisher is a clean freak, so I don't think Debbie's will be, but I know mine does. So again, we've now got the 3 steps. Close it back up again. Give it a good rub, make sure everything is stuck in place. And then every time you open it, you've got that pop-up coming to life. So in the front there, what I've done is I've got the pad, and there's loads in this pad, absolutely loads. So I've took a few of them and I've cut around them. Now, it is a decoupage pad. You don't need to decoupage it all up, you know, you've got loads and loads of pieces that you could take out, but I quite like the little ones. I think we might have one of these as well, because that one's cute. So we'll take that one as well. So I've took a variety, I've took the cat, so if you like, I've took the top layer. So instead of using it as a decoupage pad, I've took the top layer and I'm just going to cut round those to take them a little bit closer. You could leave them on if you wanted to, it leaves quite a halo on them. But I'm just going to cut them out. When you're cutting things, move your paper rather than your scissors. So by turning your paper around, you get a much neater cut. It's a nice cheats way to get round things. And it doesn't have to be perfect, this, you know, it's just, we all know that's a witch's hat. Woo. And just cutting round it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Don't mind it having a slight halo to the end, like so. And then we'll do the same with this one. And then we can just put some layering pieces on there. And these are going to stick on that last piece. As I said, you don't have to use this. If you haven't got this pad, just use the die again and cut it a 3rd time for the inside or a 4th time for the inside, and just use it slight, just maybe cut the grave around the grave stones, the headstones, that should work. So you could put that on as a layer. I just thought I'd have something a little bit different. We'll put a bit of colour into it. So there we go, so there's my little stash there. And then we're just going to offer them up. Not sure if I'm going to use that one because it's quite tall compared to the others, but I like the short ones. So popping that up, and it brings it to life a little bit. It just gives it a bit of colour. There we go. Popping them down. We'll bring our little puddy tat in. Our little cat. He's got character, this cat. Just look at the attitude on that. He's fabulous. So the hardest part is done now. So the rest is matting and layering. So I wanted something, so I've took another sheet of the ombre, but I wanted something to make it look as if it was grass in front, but I wanted a dark grass, and this ombre does that. So we can offer that up. So I need to cut that at 6 inches, and then we'll work out where we need to go from there. So I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer and use the extending arm, and I want the dark rather than the light to keep that looking spooky. So 6, a little bit further. That way's working nice, I think. So I need it, let's see, I'm just going to measure on my board here. I need it to be 4 1/4 inches. And that should be long enough. 4 1/4. And that should fit that bottom perfectly. Or near enough, yeah. So 4 1/4 inches, and we'll pop that inside. And then I think we need a little path to the graveyard. There we go. So, another piece of scrap. I've got more scraps of card than you would. Now, I'm going to use the larger one, but I'm not going to cut it that big. So I think what we'll do is we'll give it a little angle. So it would get, as it got closer, it would get wider, the path. So I'm just angling it a little bit, like so. And then if we place that down there, that definitely looks like a path now to me. Because I didn't on the other one. On the one that I did, I didn't, and I thought, oh, it's a bit flat, you see? It's a bit flat. But I think by angling it, it looks a bit nicer. So we'll pop that in. And then we'll just chop the excess away. Like so. And then we'll close it, turn it to the back, and we'll chop that off. So that is totally the mechanism done. All right? And it's cute, isn't it? So now we need to do the outside. So I'm going to use the other die. I'm going to bring in the haunted house. Pop him to one side, get rid of some of my rubbish so I can see where I'm going with it all. There we go. And we'll take another piece of black card. And I don't know if you've tried our black card here, but it's fabulous. So pop that down. And as I said, this on the front could still be that, you know, the spooky graveyard if you want to. You don't have to have both of the dies, you can do it. And you could even do the pop-up with this one just by chopping bits away as well. So whichever one you've got, you work with. If you've got both, great. but don't stress over it if you haven't. And tape that down again. Bring our mats in. And we'll offer that up to the Gemini. I'm going in that way. There we go. So there's lots of other dies you could do, you know, within the creator cards that would work like this. So don't think it just has to be Halloween. It could be anything. There's loads of different ones. So again, I'm going to tap that and get rid of the excess. Take the tape off. And I've missed a piece on there, but I'm not worrying because I've got one cut. Tap it. It's like tap and unwrap. And then all the pieces will drop out. And that's what you're left with. Or that way, which is the correct way. So I've gone ahead again and I've cut some of that beautiful ombre card, the glitter card. But I can see I've still got a few bits that needs poking out, because you want all of the bits out so you get the best look at that. And again, I've cut it to 5.5 inches because that's where this, I'm certain it's 5.5. And you're going to get that in there like so. I'm very tempted, I think, to cut that one again. What we're like for time? I think we're all right for time. So let's cut that again. It's just paper, this one. You do you. If you want to do card, do card. This is just paper that I'm using. As long as it's something that's a little bit lighter that will go behind it, it'll make it pop. New piece of tape's needed. That one had been folded and folded and folded. We'll use a new piece. Just make sure that that is going to not overlap when it goes through the machine. Pop that down. There we go, pop that back through. So it's a quick, easy way of making things pop, you know, just by doing a matte and layer piece, a drop shadow if you like. But you saw we could still, if we wanted to, we could go in and we could do bits and pieces and shadow it and use a bit of ink. Totally up to you. Because this is paper, I'm just being very wary and do it carefully to get that out. She says. There we go. And then get rid of all those pieces. And I'm going to trim down that edge because I didn't have it in my machine properly. Rookie error. I missed the edge. But because it's going behind, it's not going to get seen. Make sure all of the pieces are out, which they are. and you see straight away that pops. So again, we'll add a bit of, oh, I've just seen 2 little pieces that haven't come out. Get out, we don't need you there. So little bits of tape here and there. The Dotty one is brilliant because it's only going to hit the die cut pieces and it's not going to hit everything else. It's not going to continue to go unless it hits something. So you can literally go all the way across it and not worry that there's holes in the die cuts. So where the windows are, it doesn't matter, because there's nothing there, the tape won't run onto it. And we're just going to slightly off shadow that. Just a little bit. And it's just enough to add interest. There we go. Pop that out. And then that edge again, cut away. You don't need that showing. Like so. And I've got some lovely samples down here. If I've got time, I'll show you them, because there is some gorgeous samples. But I think this is a Sunday afternoon card when you're sitting and you want something to do. You want to have a good play and do something a little bit different. I think it's quite nice to do then. So again, we're going to mount that onto our beautiful ombre card. And it definitely looks like she's in the sky there, doesn't it? So just burnish it down, make sure that tape's got a grab, because it is glitter card. I know it doesn't come off on your fingers, but it is glitter card. And then we'll do another gold layer. So again, 5 3/4 inch this one by 5 3/4. I've just 1/4 inch difference, just for the mats and layers. Make sure I'm opening it the right way. So make sure you're not putting it on the back. Open it back up and check, because believe you me, I've done it a few times. Made lots of upside down cards in my time. Pop that down, and then again, use your tape runner or your glue, whichever you prefer. And we'll pop that one down, mat and layer. And then I don't want to waste this one, so I think I'm going to pop it in the corner, so I think it'll be sweet. So I'm just going to shape that, and hopefully I've got some foam pads. I think we'll put, because I'm not closing this piece, I can put this one on with some foam pads, so we'll put a couple of foam pads on. So I've just shaped it with my fingers. It doesn't have to be shaped, it can go on flat. And then take them off. This way, I think. And then we'll pop that on there. And that is your card finished. So you can add a bit of ribbon if you want to, you know, you can add a sentiment if you want to. I think it's just something a little bit different. Or you could add your sentiment inside. anywhere you want it. And I've just noticed one of my pieces, can you see it's come away? Don't worry about that. Just go back to it and stick it back down, burnish it when you're doing it. You're going to have a lot more time than me. But what's lovely is that will sit on the mantelpiece like that, and it's a bit of home decor. So it's quite sweet. Thank you very much for watching. And I think we've got Make It Saturday with Ben and Debbie later on. So thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.